Before dawn breaks over a quiet hotel room, a man and a woman sit together for the very last time. They are deeply in love, but they are packing their bags to walk away. They make a chilling agreement before opening the door. From the moment they part, they will never contact one another again. For the rest of their lives, each will consider the other dead. When two people care this intensely, the natural instinct is to hold on, to negotiate, compromise, or fight against the circumstances keeping them apart. Yet these two choose absolute, voluntary erasure. To understand why a relationship requires a deliberate execution, we have to look at how it was built. We have to work backward through an impossible romance to see why this mutual death became the only logical option. Our narrator is an Indian scholar on a fellowship in America. He operates on pragmatism, carrying the weight of a destitute family and the rigid cultural duties that dictate his future. Then he meets Lola. She defies his stereotype of the brash, outgoing American. Though wealthy and privileged, she possesses an intense shyness, blushing at the simplest conversations. The narrator sees this innocence in her expressive eyes, comparing her to the actress Shirley MacLaine. Their intimacy is built over quiet conversations about American literature. Standing beneath this statue of Mark Twain in Missouri, they bond over her fierce pride in the writers of her homeland. This intellectual connection feels safe. However, her deep curiosity and vulnerability mask the rigid socioeconomic realities keeping them apart, a trap they wander into without realizing it. The academic bubble bursts when they take a road trip out west. This gaudy signage in Nevada marks a jarring shift in their journey, as the environment begins to grate against the poetry they once shared. In this setting, the shy literature student disappears. Lola drinks heavily, stumbling through the streets and angrily cursing the state as her composed facade falls away. Through the alcohol, her actual history spills out. Her father made a fortune only to gamble it away in these exact casinos before ending up on death row for murder. Her mother was reduced to cheap sex work on local television screens. This trauma drives her attachment to the narrator. She views his traditional background, his strict cultural codes, and his academic discipline as an antidote to the brokenness she inherited. Lola clings to him as a lifeboat, hoping to sail away from an American nightmare she cannot escape. This grid of Phoenix serves as the backdrop for their confrontation, as Lola desperately offers marriage or religious conversion to save the connection. He shuts it down. He lays out the hard, unforgiving data of his existence. He relies on a scholarship to survive, and if she follows him home, she faces grinding family poverty and inescapable obligations. This immovable wall shatters her optimism. Her mind turns to darkness, fixating on Marilyn Monroe's death and defending suicide as a rational response to an unbearable reality. The math of their lives does not add up. He lacks the resources to be her savior in America, and she lacks the resilience to survive the deprivations of his homeland. Pure affection fails to bridge these deep socioeconomic chasms. Love cannot erase reality. With only 7 days left, Lola makes a jarring emotional pivot. She pushes aside the despair and adopts a forced, almost aggressive euphoria in Southern California. She uses an inheritance from her uncle to fund what she calls their honeymoon. For a few days, they live inside a temporary bubble of ocean views and luxury. But the terminal nature of their romance echoes in the landscape. These isolated Joshua trees mirror their relationship, standing alone with no future. This entire week is a deliberate psychological exercise. They know the expiration date has arrived, manufacturing idealized moments to carry with them. They are actively curating a ghost, ensuring their final memories remain unblemished by the arguments and failures of the real world. On their final night, the contrast between the cynical world outside and their private sanctuary reaches its peak. On the street, they watch a drunken girl being led into the shadows by strangers. But back in their locked room, Lola sits quietly on the floor by his feet, gently kissing his hands in devotion. Which brings us back to the dawn of the final morning, and the void left behind when the door finally clicks shut. Treating each other as dead is a protective measure. If they try to stay in touch, the distance, the resentment, and the inevitable compromises of life will slowly poison what they had. Sometimes the only way to protect an impossible love is to willingly end it. By executing the relationship at its peak, they seal it away, keeping it safe from the decay of reality.